Hi everyone, this is Celine and I'm so glad that you are joining me today on the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Today I'm creating this slimline card using whites as well as rainbow colors. I am using products from my favorite things, as well as this amazing Crafty Plaid Slimline Die by Crafty Meraki. But first of all, I'm going to start with my critter. I'm using this adorable dog from the Missing You Every Single Day stamp set by My Favorite Things, and I'm stamping it out using my Ink on 3 Fadeout Noline coloring detail ink onto Transotype perfect coloring paper. Now before I start coloring with my Copic markers, I'm first adding the details with this MICRON Fineliner 005. And I'm doing this because from time to time when you start Copic coloring or any other medium that you're using, the details can sort of fade out before you want them to. So I prefer going with my Micron and already putting the eyes and, if needed, the mouth, the noses in place, and then I just start coloring. The way I color with my Copic markers is from darkest to lightest, and I just keep going back and forth until I'm happy with the blend and the depth created. Now this dog is going to be really light brown, and I'm using E33, E53, E51, and then for the details I will also use some darker E tones. Now when I'm doing no-line coloring, from time to time it's just fine with the Copic markers, and in other situations I prefer using a few pencils to help me get a bit more definition going on, which I will do today. Sometimes with your Copic marker it can be a bit dull. It can also be that you cannot see the lines very well, or for example that you don't have the mid-tone or the blend isn't going as good as you want it to. Then from time to time with pencils that can really help you. So that's what I'm going to do later on when I have all the elements ready with the Copic markers and where I want some pencils to be on. Whatever pencil you have on hand, try it first. I am going to use some Polychromos from Faber-Castell, but if you don't have those, really first try it out with the pencils you have. They might work as well. These are the only ones that I have, so that's why I'm using those. It's not particularly bought for this purpose. So the dog is colored in, I used the matching dies to cut it out, and now I'm moving on to this hard air balloon. Now this hard air balloon exists from all pieces of paper, and you can cut it out of some color paper, some pattern paper, but you can also cut it out from white paper, and that's what I did. And I'm going to use my Copic markers to create a rainbow hard air balloon. Now you can decide to only use this piece. There are some lines in there. You can definitely see where you need to switch from color to color. Now I'm just keeping it really simple. I'm going to use those extra pieces inside of this die for the two strokes in between the colors. That's easier. I don't need to take into account that there is another color going to be next to it. I can just color, blend until I'm happy. And what I said before with the pencils and sometimes not having the right markers to have a nice transition, I find that I have that with my yellows. Now there is a huge difference between my lightest yellow here and my darkest, but the pencil will really help. Now onto the blues, and as you know, the orange and the green, that's coming in between, but I am using those extra pieces to help me. That's just way easier, but you can do whatever you want to do, of course. So I'm going back and forth until I'm happy, but I know already in the back of my head that I'm going to use some pencil. So if the blending isn't going as well as I would want it to, I'm not going to fuss too long about it because I have my pencils later on. So I'm already on my final two colors. As you can see here, those two pieces will help me. They will cover up the extra color that I added where it shouldn't be. Because I didn't mind about going over those lines that are on the balloon. What I also love about this die is that there are like the lines, the grooves that are inside of that heart already will really help align these two pieces to get this balloon perfect, and I just adore that because I really like symmetry, and this way I'm just sure of it, it's going to be perfect. So I'm almost finished with the Copic markers, and then I will take my pencils. Now I am also going to list them on my blog and such to let you see, but what I do with pencils is usually, and I'm not an expert, but this works for me, I start on the darker area with the pencil, and I searched for a pencil that is sort of a mid-tone. Now when you start on the darkest area, it will not show up immediately, but you can change the pressure on your pencil. And then once I'm happy with the pressure that I'm adding, I'm just going to the rest of the color, and this way I try to get sort of the blend going on. Here with the yellow, I really think that the pencil is helping me. Now you can go as far as you want to go with the pencil. The base coat of the Copic marker, in my opinion, definitely keeps showing up, but the pencil can help with the transition. Also for the dark, you will see later on, it will help with some more definition, and that's why I'm doing that. You don't need to add pencils if you like the end result of your Copic marker, or if you're using watercolors or whatever medium. If you're happy, then you shouldn't add anything. If you think maybe it can be a bit better, then this definitely is a medium that you can try out as some extra, or you can just color it completely with pencils. So I'm almost done with the rainbow colors, and then for the dog I decided to use 2 pencils. Now that being sort of the mid-tone is what I'm doing now. And then I also decided to take a bit of a darker color to get some more definition on some areas. Now make sure to blend it out, of course. Also, the lovely thing about pencils and when you have critters, I think it sometimes makes the fur a bit more realistic. Don't know why, but I can appreciate it from time to time. So also here with the darker pencil, I am reinforcing the shadows a bit more, and then I'm using this mid-tone again to blend it out. Now you can keep adding layers until you're happy, of course, but I decided to stop right here. So these elements being finished, I can already start with a bit of assembly. And here that's where I really like how this die is created. Everything fits, there is a place for everything, I love it. Like this, and there is the rainbow. And you don't see that I was really rushing with the red, the yellow and the blue and went outside the lines. It's just not visible anymore. That's just really handy in my opinion. I decided to add a bit more color to the basket, and then I can start on some other stuff. So I'm using this Sending You Hugs from My Favorite Things. I adore the size of this sentiment. It gives you enough space on a card to create some other things, to use some more space. It's not covering a complete A2 size, but this is also perfect for the slimline card. It's just the perfect size for this card that we're creating today. It's out there, but there is enough white space as well. So I'm using the 2 darkest shades of every Copic color combinations that I had for the rainbows. And I am making sure that the rainbow in this Sending You Hugs is also in the correct order to just match with the balloon. And I'm making sure that I'm blending it well enough. I'm not going to use any pencils on this one, just the markers, and then later on we will add some glossy accents as well, so that will also help cover up any areas where you think the blend might not have worked as good as you wanted it to. don't worry about that one. Already on the greens, then there is just the blues left, and then every element of this card will be ready. So I'm making sure that I like the blend. Now the green was just a bit more work because the darkest color was a bit more faded when I went over it to blend it out with the other one, but just going over it twice was the solution. And there is the blue. Now I kept everything in place by just using a bit of purple tape on the back. You will see it just in a bit. And then I could take them out, and I also die cut this die 2 more times so that I could really get some dimension behind these letters. So after poking all of these out, I could start gluing several layers behind each other to create some dimension. And therefore I'm just using a bit of liquid glue, taking my time, just relaxing. Not going to show you everything because that's just a bit crazy, but you know what I'm doing after you see it a few times. So in total I have 3 layers, one which is colored and then 2 of them that are just white behind it. And that's how I am going to do each letter in this sentiment. And once they are done, we can start assembling our card. And that truly was one of the nicest things to do, using this amazing background that you will see soon, just after this. As I said in the beginning, I'm using the Crafty Plaid Slimline Die, and this die is really intricate and it's just gorgeous. The detail is amazing, and I just decided with all the rainbow that was going on that a white background would do. Now completely white on a slimline card can be a bit plain, I think, so this die was just perfect. This gave the complete background so much detail without being too much, but truly it's there. You cannot oversee this slimline die that I used. It's amazing. So now I'm going to decide how I'm going to place everything. I'm using this negative to help me a little bit with the letters being 3 layers. It wasn't easy to use this negative. Now I did use it, however, a bit to help me align everything. I like the spacement of these letters from the die itself. I don't want to fiddle with it. It's gorgeous just as it is. And as you can see with this negative, it's the perfect size for the slimline. So now that the sentiment is on there, I'm going to add this dog to the basket, and then I will use some thin foam squares to add this complete image with the balloon to this card. Now I really like the thin foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesive. I say it all the time. These are just perfect. The backings come off really easily. I love the thickness. It's not too thick, but it still gives you a lot of dimension. And that's what it's all about. So I'm adding it all over the back of this image. I always do this. I think it helps when you're mailing your card. To keep everything where it should be without creasing or anything that could ruin all the efforts that you put into it. So that's why I do that. But you can choose however much you want to add, of course. It's all up to you. I'm also going to use a tiny bit of liquid glue to help me with those strings to the balloon. So with the balloon being on top of my card panel, you can really see this all come together. Now, before adding any embellishments, I decided to add some glossy accents all over this sentiment. Now, this really adds a lot to this card. I just love it. The whole sentiment is shining with the gradient that is in the letters. It's just stunning. And I think when it all dries, the glossy accents, it's so much fun. I'm continuously turning the card around to see it gloss in the lights. I adore it. Now, what I did afterwards was to look in my drawer with all my sequins, and I checked whether I had something fitting. Now, I found these 2 jars from Little Things from Lucy's Cards, all about rainbows. Now, that's of course really handy. Now, the one is the crystal collection over the rainbow. In this one there are pearls as well as crystals, which I love. And then there is also the chunky rainbow sparkle. That one really is handy because there is like a ton of jewels with rainbow colors, but there is only one size, so that's why I combined both. And once I had them placed sort of matching with the rainbow as well, I decided to also add those 2 clouds that I die cut. These clouds are included in the Heart Air Balloon die, and I just love them. They are cute, they are small, they are fluffy, and it's another white element to this rainbow inspired card, and I think it works. So I just added them, and once I cut off the excess, I call this card finished. So that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and of course the card. I had so much fun. I adore all of these products that I use today, and I hope you do too. I want to thank you all for your time and just being here and being lovely. If you like this video, you can always give this one a thumbs up. I hope that you truly have an amazing day left, and I will be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!